I pulled into my driveway and slammed the brakes so hard the tires screeched. My brain needed a full second to understand what I was seeing: two men in black tactical vests pinning my pregnant wife against our porch railing, her cheeks swollen, her face streaked with dirt and tears. And the craziest part, their vests said, HOA Cop. Big, bold letters like they were some kind of private police. That was the moment everything snapped. Whatever they thought they were doing, they picked the wrong house. You want to know how this nightmare started? Fine. Let me take you back a few weeks back before I knew my neighborhood was run by a tyrant in a pantsuit. My name's Ethan Walker. 34 Navy SEAL for most of my adult life, now doing private security contracts while trying to build a quiet life with my wife Sarah. She's the soft one between us, gentle, artistic, the kind of woman who talks to her plants like they're old friends. And she's pregnant with our first kid. This was supposed to be a peaceful chapter. Maple Hollow looked like a dream when we moved in. Manicured lawns, smiling neighbors, a community website bragging about safety and order. You know, classic HOA propaganda. But it worked. We bought the house, decorated the nursery, planted roses in the yard, tried to settle in. Then Sarah got her first violation letter. Fence exceeds approved height, followed by unapproved structure in front yard. The structure was a wooden swing Sarah built by hand. She sanded every slat, painted it soft cream, hung it under the oak tree. It was her little sanctuary. But apparently Carla Jennings, the HOA president, didn't like sanctuaries unless they were approved by her royal board. Sarah handled it politely. Emails, phone calls, even attending a meeting. She told me later that Carla spoke to her like a disappointed teacher scolding a kid. And when Sarah casually mentioned my husband's in the Navy, Carla didn't even blink. She just tilted her head and smiled, that thin, smug line of hers. Well, we'll see if your husband learns to follow rules like everyone else. That right there should have been the red flag, but we brushed it off. We thought she was just a petty bureaucrat, not a full-blown dictator with a clipboard. Then strange cars started idling near our driveway. Flyers that didn't match official HOA formatting kept showing up. One morning someone even taped a final warning notice to our door, except it wasn't signed, stamped, or filed anywhere. Sarah tried to stay calm, but I saw the shift. She double-checked the locks at night. She kept glancing over her shoulder in the yard. She started telling me to stay on the phone with her when I traveled for work. I thought she was just stressed. I told her she was safe. God, I hate that I said that. Because on the morning everything exploded, I wasn't home. I'd gone out to pick up lumber for the treehouse I wanted to build for our kid one day. I was feeling good, excited even. Until Sarah called me, her voice low and tight in a way I'd never heard before. There are two men walking around the yard, she whispered. They're wearing tactical vests. It says HOA Cop. Do we even have those? My stomach dropped. No. Go inside, lock the door. I'm coming home right now. She said okay. She said she would. But 20 minutes later, when I turned onto our street, I saw her outside, cornered, terrified hands shaking her phone, shattered on the ground. One of the men was yelling something about refusing to comply. The other kept waving a clipboard in her face like it was a warrant. Their voices were loud, aggressive, totally out of control. I got out of my truck so fast I didn't even remember touching the door handle. What the hell did you do to my wife? The man with the clipboard held up a palm like he had any authority in my yard. Sir, stay back. This is HOA enforcement. Sarah cut him off, her voice cracking. He hit me. I swear I felt my blood turn to gasoline. I stepped forward slowly, controlled every instinct, switching from civilian to trained defense mode. The taller guy shifted his stance hand, moving towards something clipped to his belt. Not a real weapon. Later, I'd find out it was just a prop holster, but I didn't know that then. Back up, I warned. Let her go. He smirked like he'd been waiting for a reason. That was his mistake. He lunged. I moved first. A clean sidestep forearm deflecting his swing, my hand gripping his wrist and twisting until he dropped the clipboard. His knees buckled, his balance broke, and I shoved him off hard enough that he hit the ground on his back. The second guy came at me swinging wild and desperate. I ducked, grabbed his vest, and yanked him forward into a knee strike that took the wind out of him instantly. Training kicked in, measured, efficient, controlled. I didn't want to kill anyone, but I damn sure wasn't letting them hurt my wife again. He collapsed to his hands and knees, gasping, coughing, trying to recover. I grabbed the back of his vest and pulled him upright, pressing him against the fence. "Who sent you?" He shook his head, terrified. "Don't make me ask again." His voice cracked. It was Carla. Carla Jennings. She told us to scare your wife, make her sign the fines." Sarah gasped behind me, one hand on her bruised cheek. I'd never seen her look so small, so shaken. And that's when the real punch hit me, not physical, emotional. The guilt, the self-blame, the what-ifs. What if I'd stayed home? What if I'd listened sooner? What if she'd been hurt worse? For the first time in a long time, I felt helpless, powerless, like I'd failed the one person I swore to protect above everything. My hands trembled not with anger but with shame. And that's exactly when I heard the sirens. 3 police cruisers rounded the corner lights, flashing gravel, crunching under tires. Sheriff Miguel Morales stepped out, eyes scanning the yard, taking in the scene instantly. The fake badges, the bruises on Sarah's face, me holding one of the men against the fence. He lifted a hand calmly. "Sir, step back." "I'm the homeowner," I said, releasing the guy and raising my hands. "These men assaulted my wife. They impersonated law enforcement." Morales nodded once sharp. "We've had reports of fake HOA security units all week. Officers moved in, cuffing the 2 men, searching their vests. Everything was fake badges, IDs, enforcement notices. They looked legit at first glance, but up close, cheap imitations." One officer held up a phone taken from the guy I'd pinned. "Sheriff, there are messages here. From a C. Jennings, instructions, payments, photos of the house." Morales exhaled slowly, like he'd been expecting this, but hoping he was wrong. "Carla Jennings," he muttered. "She's finally crossed the line." The next few hours blurred together statements, photos, evidence bags, paramedics checking Sarah. She kept telling them softly over and over, "He hit me. He hit me for a fence notice." Neighbors gathered at the sidewalk, filming, whispering, acting, shocked, though I knew most of them had heard rumors about Carla's power trips. By sunset, the police had enough evidence to move on her. They arrested Carla at her home, still wearing her silk robe, yelling about protecting community standards while officers read her rights. The news stations named it the Maple Hollow Scandal. Residents called it karma. And me, I didn't feel victorious, not even close. Hours later, when the chaos finally died down, I stepped onto the porch where Sarah sat with an ice pack pressed to her cheek. She looked up at me with tired eyes. "You didn't have to do all that," she whispered. "Yes," I said quietly, sitting beside her. "I did. They came after you while I wasn't here. They thought they could intimidate us, threaten our home. They forgot who they were dealing with." She managed a small, pained smile. "A Navy SEAL and his roses." I took her hand. "Something like that." Carla ended up with multiple charges: assault, conspiracy, impersonation, misuse of HOA funds. Her little enforcers got charged too. The HOA board dissolved within weeks, replaced by a temporary state-appointed manager. But none of that felt like a win. Not really. Not when I kept replaying that moment, Sarah saying, "He hit me," her voice breaking, and me realizing just how close I came to losing everything. If there's one thing I learned from all this, it's simple. When fear hides behind authority, it becomes dangerous, and the only way to stop it is to stand up, even when your voice shakes.